Okay? And that's also done through the art of asking questions. Right? I want you to write this down. The person asking questions wins. The person explaining loses. So whenever you feel yourself in that position where your heart rate's going up and the fire's coming up your neck or you're getting nervous, just slow down. Ask a question. Find out why. Find out why. Why do they believe what they believe? And how can I help them come to a different belief? Okay? So through those three things, we can start using what we call testimonials, right? Yeah. Guys, listen. You want to know who's a master at all this stuff? Go watch Uncle Carl on stage. Do you know how many times you hear that man say, hey, I don't know. All I know is we have this to do. He is a master at getting all of us to overcome our pitiful excuses so we go out there and do the work that this mission calls us to do. We're just not in tune to what he's saying and how he's saying it. He learned this long before us, which is how he built Beachbody. Okay? And he says, look, I can understand why you're that way. I don't blame you because our society has groomed us to eat donuts and drink milkshakes. But I have to believe that there's a better way. He lets you be okay for your belief. He doesn't attack your belief. He just says, you know what, there's a better way. Why don't we get open to learning that? You watch any of them. I don't know, all I know is, that came out of Chalene Johnson's mouth yesterday. Yep. Didn't it? Okay? She did the validate and overcome. She asks questions. She gets you to reflect. When you ask someone a question, it gives them an opportunity to reflect, which is the only way they can ever come to a different conclusion. Okay? Everybody follow that? So questions. And we have to understand those things before we can go through the most common objections, right, Barb? Yep. And some of those common objections, you know, the first one is money. How many people get money objections? Okay? Barbie, you ever get money objections?
All the time.
All the time. And here's the thing, you can quickly and easily defend them because you no longer have money objections because you're not making money. Right? So her beliefs have changed. So to her, money, because she knows that the long-term result is no longer working for 30 grand a year as a college professor.
But when I started as a coach, even though I had a job as a professor, I remember having to put my grocery bills on my credit card because I didn't have enough money to buy my groceries at the end of the month, and I still became a coach.
Right, and you still became a coach. So you overcame your own objections, and when you start overcoming your own objections, you can help other people do the same thing, because you know the end result. Okay, so money. So let's say that somebody gives you a money objection. You have to stop and ask yourself, first of all, what can I have done to prevent this? And I'm going to tell you right now, the easiest way to prevent is to spend more time in step 2, which is asking questions. Getting to understand their why, getting to understand what it is that drives them, getting to understand what they struggle with. Right? The more time you spend there, the less time you have to spend doing I don't know, all I know is. You start preventing it. The more time you spend working on yourself and overcoming your own objections, the less you're going to have to overcome other people's. So with the money objection, let's say somebody gives you the money objection, you know? Barbie just gave us her testimonial. All of you can be in the field using that right now. You know? All of you. If you just wrote down her testimonial, you have a weapon now to use out there in the field, so you can be out there and you can say, hey, I don't know. All I know is I saw this Barbie Decker chick and she couldn't even pay her grocery bills, but she still found a way, and her life is completely changed now. Right? And so, you know, and I don't have a lot of money either, but I'm finding a way. And if you truly are sick of being depressed, I really think this stuff will help you. In fact, it's helping a lot of other people.
Start collecting stories, testimonials. Write them down, put them on your phone, and use them.
Right?
Yep.
So, money objections. Someone says, oh, I'm just completely broke. Well, first of all, we might want to figure out why they're broke. Right? That's my first question, well, why are you broke? So somebody said, man, I'm broke, man, I'm too broke for this. Well, why are you broke? Figure out why they're broke, because that might lead you to another solution that they need. Right? So, why do you think you can't afford it? So what makes you think you can't afford it? Find out why. Because you can't yet start helping them. You can't untangle their mess until you even know what the mess is. Right? You guys get that? Until you know what the mess is. So spend some time asking questions. Why are they broke? What are they broke? And then learn to connect them to solutions for that. So once you find out why they're broke, once you find out why they think they can't afford it, the reality is this: either they sincerely can't afford it, or either they sincerely can't afford it, or they can afford it, they just don't want to. Does that make sense? Because they haven't yet found a reason enough why. Because they still want to hold on to the Miller Lite and Wings at Frickers. Right? Or their can of School Mint at the grocery store. You know, or they want to hold on to the habit of buying all of their new shoes when they go shopping because they like blingy stuff rather than health. Right? So until their health becomes important enough, they're not going to overcome it. But you have to get to their belief. So we handle money objections all the time. I mean, Barbie, how do you, because I know a lot of times, like with Danny Johnson, and so Barbie and I have done a lot of training through Danny Johnson, and she may not be for everybody, she happened to be for us. And so we've come to a lot of this understanding through her, and her scriptings. You know, but in some of her scripts, she says, so were you serious about wanting to get healthy, and you seriously can't afford it, or are you just afraid to hurt my feelings?
I use that all the time. I use that, we're going to get to it too, but with spouse objections. So is this the real reason, or you're just not that serious and you're just afraid to hurt my feelings? And it works. I mean,
it works.
It
because
works.
You let it be okay for them to be either.
You give them an out.
You give them
so
an out.
If, you know what, yeah, this is not really for me. Okay, awesome, great, thanks.
So we'll talk about that. Like, let's say that somebody gave you a time objection. You know, because we get that all the time, right? How many people in here have time objection, man? You got a family, you got a house, you got a job, you know, you got a water park nearby that you want to go to. You got summertime on your hands. I mean, you know what? People have busy lives, right? If they don't have busy lives, they're not probably living. So when you get a time objection, I mean, how would you handle something like that?
For me, I use testimonials, sometimes my own. I would say, yeah, I totally understand. When I first started coaching, I was still teaching. And so I would wake up a half an hour earlier and post and connect with my customers. And then at nighttime, I scheduled it and I tell them about a calendar that I bought hour by hour. And so I would use from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. to coach. I use stories. Danielle Hinson, who's in asylum too, I remember on the national call, she's a teacher, she left, she finally was able to leave her job as a teacher to coach full time. She said she was willing to get up at 4:30 in the morning and then go to sleep later so that she could get her coaching in. If you really want this, you're going to find a way. So I don't know, but if you really want this, you're going to find a way. Insert testimonial.
There you go, because Danielle Henson did the same thing. Danielle wanted it bad enough, right?
Start collecting stories.
So, and listen, if you validate and overcome, if you validate and you make it okay for them to have that excuse in the first place, say, dude, I totally understand that.
Totally understand.
I totally understand that, man. And in fact, I was super busy, man. I was running my, you know, at the time when I signed up, I was still 230 pounds and like running the insurance agency and the president of the Rotary Club, right? And people from Bellevue know this is true. And I'm on like 7 different volunteer boards around town. I just don't have the time for this. And you know what? After doing it now, after just making the choice, it's been the best thing that ever happened in my life. And I truly believe that it could help you do what it is that you're trying to do too. Because I've seen it work for so many people. Okay? So the reality is a lot of us can identify with their excuse, and a lot of us can identify with their objection. Or we have people that we know. You know, if I get a mom of 5 kids, I've got a woman on my team. You know, her name's Tina Osborne. She's a mother of 5. She's a military nurse. She works 12-hour shifts, but somehow she's managed to score like 80 Success Club points this year. Wow. I mean, you know.
She's here.
A lot of you just overcame your own objection, didn't you? Just by me sharing a story with you. Right? Didn't you? Just in that instance. So Tom, we just gave you 3 stories on how to use objection handling for time. Spouse objections. You mentioned this. How many people have a spouse objection? Or did have a spouse objection, but have found a way to overcome it. right? To make it work.
That one's a tough one, isn't it? The spouse. I gotta talk to my spouse, or he doesn't really support, she doesn't really support what I'm doing.
So here's the thing. So I embrace that because I can understand that. I can understand that. I can understand that there might not be perfect harmony in their thinking and the directions that they want to take, right? And so I can understand that. And I said, well, great. So well, tell me a little bit about your spouse. Right? Tell me a little bit about him. What's your husband like? So let me ask you this. Do you think it would help if I got both of you on the phone and kind of just answered some of his questions for you? Right? Be the connector for them. Learn to be a connector. Write that down. Learn to be a connector. Learn to connect people to solutions. So their biggest fear might be bringing that up to their husband or to their wife. Their biggest fear might be that. So what you do is you connect them to a solution that helps them overcome that fear. And the other thing is this: you remain in control. You don't hand the control off to them because you're now being the facilitator. Go ahead, let's get on the phone and we'll all talk about this. And maybe it'll work out, maybe it won't. But who knows, we might as well try.
I actually have a tip. I was just listening to Danny Johnson this morning, and I'm always learning, we're always learning.
Yeah.
And she said with the spouses, it might help to ask, have you ever tried to present something, an idea to your husband or your wife, and they immediately shoot bullet holes in it, right? Most people can relate. So why don't you let me, come in and be that person, the expert, because you're pretty new at this. You're looking to get started. I mean, one objection from the husband or the wife, it's shot down. So allow me to be that connector.
Right.
And I found that super useful. Just, have you ever had this experience with your husband or wife? And then be that person.
Yeah, totally, right? Even if you don't feel like you're an expert at it, you're more of an expert than them. Whether you realize this or not, after you leave here, you are now professionally trained in the art of objection handling.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You're an objection handling expert.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Just because you got up and got here. Okay, so believe that. You know more about their objections than they do at that point. So spouse objections. We also get the I don't like to sell objection, right? How many people get that one? I don't know, it sounds a little bit salesy to me. I'm going to tell you right now, the reason people are afraid of sales is because salespeople suck. Because salespeople don't do the stuff we're talking about. Right?
When I became a coach, the night that I became a coach, I was on the phone with my sponsor, Kevin, and I said, I don't like to sell. I'm not a salesperson. Don't ever talk to me about selling or making money, because I'm not interested. I just want to share.
Yeah. And we learned that in kindergarten, didn't we? Learn to share. Man, keep it simple. Simplify and multiply. That's what I talk about. Learn to share. I just want to share. Actually, we're building a team of people that are just sharing this.
Yeah.
We're not selling anything. Dude, I can totally understand that because I don't want to sell either. So when you say I can totally understand that, immediately you disarm them. They put their guns away, don't they? Right?
Yes.
What you do and how you respond either puts bullets in their gun or puts the gun in their holster.
Ooh, that's good.
Right? I just made that up right on the spot.
I like it.
That was an on-the-spot moment right there, Barb. Write that one down, honey, and remind me.
Repeat it. Repeat it, please.
What's that? I said, what the heck was it? It's on camera, it's on film. No, it was how you respond at that moment of crisis either puts bullets in their gun or puts their gun in their holster.
Love it.
You can either disarm them or arm them, depending on what you do. Right? So if you feel it getting a little bit confrontational, guess what? You probably didn't respond the right way. So rather than blaming them for it, you could learn to develop the skill set required in order to learn to disarm people and build bridges rather than walls.